have really nothing to say about the curriculum. As part of Yavapai College, you're a guest lecturer, and I understand you volunteer your time or something. I said, yes, I do volunteer my time. I said, because you couldn't afford me. I've been offered to be the head of film departments at UCLA, SC, NYU, Columbia, the London Film School, Tel Aviv University, the Jerusalem Film School, Sam Spiegel Film School. Turned them all down. I said, you couldn't afford me for a day, but you get me 2 days a week for free. She said, right, but obviously we are in charge of what gets taught. I said, actually, you're not. I said, are you under the impression that Yavapai College founded this school? She said, well, of course. I said, well, then I have a contract someone should have shown you. She said, well, I wasn't aware of this. I said, well, God will forgive you, and so will I. Now you are. She said, well, this contract gives you entirely too much power. I said, that's because I spent the money to finance the damn school. She said, well, it has to be renegotiated next year, and I'm here to tell you right now that if it's renegotiated, I won't negotiate terms, I will dictate them. I said, are you aware that we have an international reputation? And she said, oh, please. I have a very, very, very bad temper, which I inherited from my Russian, Jewish, Yiddish-speaking cowboy dad. And if she had been a guy, I'd have been over that table in about 2 seconds and would have shown her some really neat stuff that I've learned in 49 years as a soldier. I said, are you aware of the fact that we've had 2 students who were finalists in the Student Academy Awards of the Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Sciences? You know, the ones that give out the Oscars? And it was the first time in the history of the Motion Picture Academy that a school with a total enrollment of, at the time, 32 students had ever beaten out UCLA, SC, NYU, Columbia. And it wasn't once, it was twice. I said, are you aware of the fact that we had a young woman who was 50 years old when she came here? I gave her a couple of years, she was in her 50s, who had never seen a camera, who made a documentary. And that documentary she entered in the Sundance Film Festival. It was not only accepted at Sundance, it won an award at Sundance. And a man came up to her and said, this ought to be a feature. And she said, well, I wouldn't know how to turn it into a feature. I wouldn't have the money. He said, well, I can help out with that. And he became the executive producer. I said, now, are you aware of the fact that that man's name was Robert Redford? I said, we are the only film school in the world that gives scholarships at other film schools. At Columbia University, they honor the name of the Zaki Gordon Institute for Independent Filmmaking in Sedona, and we give them the awards here. We don't give them out in Columbia. We make them come here. And when they come and see what we have, universally they say, I wish I had been here instead of at Columbia or UCLA or USC. And she went, please, honestly. And I went home and I thought, what would Zaki want to do? Because I've got to get my ego out of the way. This is Zaki's school. This isn't mine. In a million years, I could never have engineered the events that led to the founding of this school. Like I say, I was not instrumental. I was an instrument, but I got played by the big G in Zaki. I thought, okay, what do you want to do, kid? I won't tell you what Zaki said, because he used as colorful language as I do. But basically what he said was, if they make the changes, it won't be my story anymore. So I called my attorney, and I said, prepare a cease and desist order. And the next day I tried to get the president of the school on the phone, who was too busy to receive my call. So I got the vice president, and I said, you have 24 hours to remove my son's name from the building. It is licensed to you, and that license is herewith revoked since you're in breach of contract. You have a cease and desist letter that's being messengered to you. And you are to find a new way to teach filmmaking because our curriculum is copyrighted, and I will sue your ass from here to kingdom come for violation of copyright infringement. And then I told the person who I told, you have just cut the soul out of your program. When you do that, the body follows in very short order. I guarantee you by next year at this time, you will not have 12 students. They didn't. And the school, which they had announced with great fanfare as now finally being free of the legacy of Zachy Gordon, was now the Sedona Film School. And it would be a destination film school that people would flock to, and rainbows would fly above it, and unicorns would rejoice, and lions would lie down with the lambs. And people who I had considered my friends, some of them good friends, not a one of them stuck up, not for me, but for the school that was founded here. Everybody thought, we know how to do this. Well, guess what? That school lasted a year and was closed. And I do not mourn its loss. May I tell you that the Zachy Gordon Cinematic Arts Center is now a $60 million facility. It has 125 full-time film majors and 800 students who take classes in the program. It is the only film school on earth which each year produces its own feature-length motion picture, which the school owns. So that we are the only film school on earth that guarantees every single student 2 feature-length IMDb credits before they graduate. There's not another school on earth that can say that. We have the only fully licensed Dolby Surround Sound Lucas THX mixing studio on the East Coast of the United States, not in any university. If Marty Scorsese wants to mix in Dolby Surround Sound Lucas THX, he's got to come to us or he's got to go to LA. That school is the fruition of 12 years of wonderful work that was done here with spectacular students and wonderful teachers. And there was a golden time here. I now look at it as the laboratory that was necessary to work the kinks out of the system so that it could be brought to fruition where it always belonged, which is at Liberty University. And it's doing just fine. Thank you. Thank you. It's sweet of you. Thank you. Because I am a writer, I have a whole bunch of books over there. Most of everything that was said is recounted in a book called Postcards from Heaven, which is exactly that. Details the postcards I have received from people I love in my life from the other side of life. And usually those postcards are not weighty tomes. They simply say, got here just fine, it's really beautiful, till we meet again. There's also my newest book, which is Day of the Dead, which is, if you like a Tom Clancy read, it's a darn good one. Wyatt Earp, which was, for those of you who saw the movie, which I wrote that starred Kevin Costner of the same name, my deepest condolences. It was the worst movie ever made. The director absolutely destroyed the screenplay, got me so angry that I wrote the book that was the story that should have been told in the movie. Is one of the most entertaining and well-researched books on Wyatt Earp ever written. What was behind the gunfight at the OK Corral was actually a $20 million land grab that no one has ever written about. It was not about grubby rustlers. It's a good read. There's a wonderful film noir that looks like it'll finally get made this year called Just Play Dead. And a book called The Assignment, which is another Tom Clancy thriller. Be happy to autograph any of them that are over there. They're all good reads, so if you want a good murder mystery, there's one of those. If you want something spiritual, there's one of those. If you want a Tom Clancy one, there's one of those. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.